This is a tutorial to help you extract the information you need for the climate data exercise. By this time, you should have downloaded and installed Google Earth on your machine, on your computer. This is just what the page from where you're going to download Google Earth from looks like. It's very straightforward stuff, and it's available for free for many operating systems. At this time, you should also have downloaded the file that actually contains the CRU data, and this is the page from where you're going to obtain this. What you're after is this CRUTS 3.22 gridboxes.kml file. Just click on it, store it anywhere in your computer. Again, instructions for both installing and downloading Google Earth, as well as where to get the CRU data, are available on Carmen. So let's assume you've done that already, as I have. Here is the file with the climate data. I just double click on it and Google Earth pops up. As you see, the Google Earth pops up already with the climate data loaded. This is what these big 5 by 5 degree bins are, or boxes are. I'm going to try to get closer to Columbus here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Here we are. I'll use Columbus as an example. I'm going to orient myself a little better by clicking on the N here and making the map line to the north-south direction. More used to that. Again, what also helps me figure out where I am in the world are these latitude and longitude values that I can get from the bottom right corner over here, and they represent the location of the mouse. So let's imagine I want to get information that's found within this big 5 by 5 degree box, but remember that the CRU data are actually organized in half by half degree boxes. If I were to click on this box though, it asks me, should I show you the half degree cells for this block? I'll say yes, and these half degree cells pop up. We are already then at the spatial resolution at which the CRU data are stored. Let's get closer to Columbus here, zooming a little bit more. So here we are. If I want to actually, so now for each one of these boxes, we're going to have a time series. How do we get to those time series of temperature and precipitation? By clicking on the box. As I click on the box, this window pops up. What we see here are two graphs, the top one temperature, the bottom one precipitation, with the time series of these parameters for that grid box. Some questions in your problem set you'll be able to answer them just by looking at these graphs at the pertinent locations. Of course, this is just an example. Some other questions, you actually have to manipulate the data that were used to generate these graphs a little bit. How do I get to those data? Just by clicking. As you can see here, this is the temperature graph. Below the temperature graph, there's a data link. I click on the data link. This table shows up, a little bit of a header here with the location of the bin and the version of the data set, who cares, and the units, which are in degrees Celsius, and the data then are organized in these columns for year, month, and temperature. So we're dealing with monthly averages here. How do we understand this organization? Let's take a look at the first line, for example. This is telling me that during January of 1901, the average temperature in this half by half degree bin was minus 0.8 degrees Celsius. And you can scroll down to the end of the series. This is going to be December of 2013 here, and you can copy and paste these values to perform the calculations that will be asked of you using whatever software, or if you want to do it by hand, that's fine too. Okay, how do I go back to Google Earth? By clicking on the Back to Google Earth button. I'm back at where we started. I click again on the half by half degree grid box. We've seen this already, but remember, these data that we just looked at, they were constructed using weather station information. But which weather station information? What we can do then, and you have to do that for some questions in the problem set, you can look at the weather stations that are found nearby that grid box by clicking on the Show Nearby Weather Stations. And these pins pop up. They're going to be red pins for temperature and blue pins for precipitation. So here we have the weather station at Port Columbus. If I click on this weather station, something similar to the grid box information shows up, a graph with temperature. Again, you can extract information visually from the graph, but if you need to manipulate data from the weather station, you can click the station data link over here, very much like before. A table will show up. A little bit more information on the header here, just more detail about the station from which these data are coming from. And note that we also have different time periods. We start a little earlier here for this weather station. So the first value is for July of 1878, first temperature value. And the last temperature value that we have here is actually February of 2014. Don't worry about the minus 999 numbers. They just indicate that we don't have information for those months yet. Let's go back to Google Earth. And if you want station data, but you want precipitation station data, the way to do it is to again click on the half by half degree cell from which you started and show nearby stations. But now do it under the precipitation graph, not under the temperature graph. A different set of stations will pop up. Not necessarily all the stations used for precipitation were used for temperature. So we can see that we have, in this case, no precipitation at Port Columbus. That's not a horrible thing. It doesn't matter. But we have precipitation here, let's say, for Circleville. So we click on the precipitation. We have the precipitation time series graph. And just like before, I have the station data. Missing values, as you can see, again, the header, missing values minus 999. Again, starting a little earlier than the gridded information. And the only difference here, again, we have the year, the month. The only difference is that, of course, we have precipitation values instead of temperature, and these precipitation values are expressed in units of millimeters per month. Let's go back to Google Earth. I think that this tutorial will provide you with all the information you need to at least extract the data for the exercise. Good luck.